Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Data Leadership podcast. Really excited about this one today. We've got Abed Ajraou, who's going to be speaking about efficiency within a data science team. Really, this came about from a chat with Abed, and I really feel he could share his experiences in this area that would hopefully help people moving forward. He's been not only a data leader, a head of data, but also got involved in his own startup as well within data. So it'll be interesting to get his perspective on this. Best place to start with this, Abed, if you just introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your journey so far, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, my journey in data is starting from back to the school. It was a long time ago, so more than 20 years ago. So I'm come from an IT background when I did my engineer school in computer science, and I was every time interesting about how we can use my technical skills to deliver value to a company. So I was every time questioning myself in terms of what my technical skills could be used in that way. So I starting obviously with the data, and this is the first thing I build my career on is to get more on very what you call business intelligence, so getting more intelligence in the business. So I work on this area for all my career and work in the data. I jump in 2011 in more in the big data side. So understanding the big data area, having more disruptive digital content to create even more value. So how we can get this data, how we can be more in real time, and how we can put data science in top of that. So that was my first journey in that. I built my career mostly in consulting side, but after in 2014, I fall on more doing that in more in a company way. So building the BI transformation to a big data and data science type of work. And as you said, I also build a startup based on data. And that's why I'm very focused on how we can create data, create value with the data. And my startup, it was completely on that way. We build a startup just based on open data and creating values for customers based on that. So this project was creating. It is the first. It's still ongoing. I'm not anymore a founder, but it's still ongoing. This project and this product is creating a completely fully automated investment platform on top of cryptocurrency, and it's completely fully automated. Is the first product in the market, and this product is amazing because we create value for the customers and just by using open data, and that's amazing how we can create value on top of the data.
That's awesome. I mean, a great experience to get stuck into. Where did that idea sort of come from, and did you do it in partnership with friends or colleagues?
Yeah, it comes from different areas, yeah, mostly from friends around this area, and talking with them and see how the market is. And after that, understanding there is a gap in the market in this area, and after that, yes, building the first POC, the first proof of concept, and see how it goes, and after that, jump on this adventure. Yeah, I'm not anymore founder of this startup. Now I'm the head of data in E.ON Next. But it's the same spirit every time. Every time said when we build the project, which has a lot of potential with lots of creating insight values in a company, is every time the same mindset. You need to think about how we can be thinking out of the box. Even if it's not existing, let's see if there is a value to create them, and bring obviously more value in terms of revenue. It could be in terms of optimizations, cost to serve, but it is every time the same thing: is how I can make my company better and how I can give even more value for my customers.
How you can tap into that data and create value. And I think that's really, really key. And I think it's been obviously a pattern throughout your career and one of your sort of specialties, really. So you've been joined into E.ON Next now, recently joined. And what have you been brought in to do?
I think it's exactly the same thing. In most of the businesses, the key fundamentals is the data, and also shaping the data team. So obviously, I bring in your next to put this strategy in place in terms of data, and how we can leverage this data in a more efficiently way. Obviously, today we talk about value, but it's not just about value. It's also about culture, how we can bring a better data culture in a business, and how we push also the data team in a more efficiently capable to achieve this kind of challenges. It's also about leading this team, and also make sure that we bring the maximum of what we can get from the people, from the data. And then it's also about building the right technology in place, and obviously using the best technology on the cloud right now to set up all this environment for all this kind of good ideas and good projects. So obviously me, I'm as you said in the beginning, from my career and from my past and from the beginning of my journey in my career, is very focused on the value, how we make sure that all the work we are doing is getting value, and creating a better company, and also a better products for customers. That's where I'm focused on.
Yeah, I think that brings us really nicely onto the topic of today, which is, efficiency within a data science team. And I think an interesting statistic that we spoke about before the call was 87% of data science projects don't actually go live. There's not the outcome from that. And given your work is all about, this bringing the most value, getting the efficiency you need, why do you think this happens?
Yeah, that's very good statistics. What I see in my career, and I can give you some good examples, and what I see in different conferences, how people are using data and how they try to create values on that. So when I said creating value with the data, it's a very short sentence. However, it's hard to get it. It's not a straight path. It's not as easy, because, as you said, 87% of the project didn't go live. So what was the problem? I think the first key point I noticed, and we can spend a little time on this, is there is this quote I like to say. It is, start with the problem, not with the data. And that's something very, very, very important for me, is when we want to create data and create value with the data, people used to jump on the data first, and they try to dig on the data without just to explore. And I saw a lot of my colleagues use this kind of technology and say, yeah, I like to explore data, I like to have fun with the data. Yeah, that's great to explore. I never said people should not explore the data, but before exploring data, we need to think about, okay, what is my purpose first? What this kind of problem I want to solve? It's not, I didn't say we will achieve it. I didn't say it's an easy problem to solve. I didn't say it's feasible, but at least we have a direction. We know what we try to achieve. I give you one example on that. It was in a Strata Hadoop conference. So I was there. It was a very good conference done by a big bank. And the guy, he was the chief data analytic officer. Great talk about his project using big data structure, using NoSQL graph database to understand people when they buy with the credit card. What's the distance? Not the physical distance, but the affinity distance between businesses. So let's imagine you use a credit card to go to IKEA, and after that you do your lunch in McDonald's. That means IKEA and McDonald's are very, very together, so that they're not a long distance between them. They're very, very near in terms of affinity. So they built this database, which is amazing, with all this data and how things together. And at the end of the talk, he said, and he explained the project was great. At the end of the talk, he said to all of us, and we got all this data, which is great, but we don't know what to do with it. So if you have an idea of how we can monetize this data, please come to us. I was just amazed for this sentence, because this is exactly the wrong thing to do. They played with the data, they did something. It was a big investment, I think, in my point of view. And at the end, they didn't know what to do with it. So that's exactly the wrong way. I could imagine how this project will never go live, because what to do with it? What's the purpose? What's the key problem this person want to tackle? And that's the
completely backwards.
Exactly. Yeah. And we should never do that. So when I have my CEO wanted to invest on this kind of project, so we're starting to build trust and say, I will invest in this kind of project, and that means there is an engagement. I have a responsibility of this budget. I need to deliver value with that. It's not a playground and play with the data, and after that come with something. If something we can turn out, that's fine. If not, that's fine. No, it's not fine. We should not do that. That's the key first thing, and this is also part of many. You need to be embedded in the mindset of every data scientist. We should start with the problem, not with the data. Okay, you probably have a good knowledge on the data, that's fine. But what we try to achieve when we explore data, please explain me what you try to achieve. And that's the big things. And there is some people who challenge me on that. I like to be challenged and say, yeah, but that you kill every type of exploring project. No, I didn't say that. Even when you explore the data, you need to have first a thing to find, questions you want to answer. And even if you explore data and you find by hazard something else, that's fine. You can tip a note on that and probably raise a budget for another project. That's probably because you found some correlation data, and that's something you can build on that. But at least you start with a question and not go for a free budget for doing something that we don't know at the end what to do with it.
It's really strange, and it sounds quite shocking, that statistic, and also the fact that it sounds pretty common. It sounds pretty commonplace that this is happening. And do you feel it's linked to the excitement around, let's dive into this, we've got all this data, let's just dive into it, get started, it will get sorted, as opposed to, a bit impatient really in diving into it? Do you think that's a factor?
Yeah, that's one of the factors. When we're starting to have this excitement also on big data, it was the same subject. There is a lot of projects failed on that way. People used to set up an environment, a big Hadoop cluster, and after they dump every data in there, and after that they see each other and say, and yeah, and what we do with it? We don't know. And you spend all this budget to put that there, and you don't know any business value behind that. We don't know what is the use case and what is the business use case you can build on that. And that's completely wrong. It's exactly the same mindset. Is to start with, okay, what could not be possible in my environment, and what the big data could help me to create. What's this new use case I can build with this technology? Is the same with data science. It's not because you have the power to access the data that you have free time to do and to explore without any consideration of the value you want to create, and without any consideration of the time you will spend on it. There is a lot of problem to solve in any business. Honestly, there is a lot of things to look at. So take one and trying to tackle it and try to use the data to resolve it, and that will be for me a good way to stop this kind of problem. It's not the only problem for the 87%, but for me, one of the first big problem is this kind of mindset. We need to change that. We need to change how we look at the data and how we use the data.
I think it just leads to frustration all round, right? It leads to frustration to the data scientists that are actually doing the work. You know, what we're doing, is it actually making a difference to the business? That will, you know, that will affect job satisfaction, likely mean people will move on, which also can have a knock-on effect to the business reputation. You know, when you then go and maybe think, right, we've got a new project coming through, people talk in the market, especially in the niche markets like data science. You don't want to potentially dive into something and then damage your reputation like that. So it all sounds like it comes back to, from the outset, the planning, get clear on what you want and build from there.
Yeah, exactly. We saw that also on things. So people has the right mindset. They really want to do something, and they will be proud of their work and make your company better. And that's when you have some people like that, they are very gold, because they're very engaged and they want to basically to do something important for the company. I already, in terms of the mindset, I already see some different other behavior in data scientists. Like, there is some data scientists are too much academical, and they just want to just look at some different machine learning model or deep learning model and try to understand them and try to dig that, and just do basically an academical job rather than thinking about the value they can create in the business. So there's different type of mindset in data scientists in the market. So also for business purposes, for the businesses, we need to be careful also on which one we want to recruit, and who has the right mindset to perform very key projects.
I think that's really important. And I think across data now more than ever, business acumen, someone who actually understands how what they're doing on a technical level impacts the business is becoming so important. I don't think any more so within than a data science role as well. So really key. And do you think it's important potentially to have a bit of a mix when you're building a data science team, potentially a different sets of skills that can sort of combine quite nicely together?
Yeah, that's very important. Thank you for asking these questions. It's very, very because, you know, when you see the skills of the data scientist is very, very, very wide. You need to be, as you said, have a business acumen. You need to understand very well the business. You need to be very technical, understanding all the machine learning different model, which one you need to use, which one you should not to use, and also all the understanding of how that works. Make sure that you don't fall on basic mistakes. There is also skills of obviously accessing data, cleaning data, and understanding how to get a better data set. So that's more SQL, Python type of skills. There is also skills of communications, how to visualize the data and how to make you business stakeholders understanding things without so talking with some people who are not technical and make them understanding what you're doing. So, and for me, the bonus is also having someone who is technical aware and understanding what is the new trend on the data science area, and then look at that and see what's going, because it's very evolving subject. So it's good to know what's the new trend, etc. So if you see all this wider range of skills that data scientists need to have, it's very difficult to have one with all the skills straight away. It's so difficult. So that's why, for me, data scientist team is mandatory, because you need to have different people with different strengths and collaborate together. And that's the best way to create a team, because after that, I used to also to push them to have knowledge share sessions. So people who are better in this business area, it could explain them to the others, or people who are more good at data visualizations, he can explain his tips, etc., and can share how to do that in better way. So for me, it's very important to have a team and to spread the skills in the area.
Yeah.
There is a lot of way to do it. I used to use a very easy radar chart, and understanding the skills for each data scientist, and see where is the gap in terms of skills in the team. So after that, you know where to recruit, what type of skills you need to reinforce the team.
It's a really interesting point, because when you look at data scientist job specs, and of course there's hundreds of them out there at the moment because it's so in demand, there is variation, but they're very similar, and you don't always hear the sort of bits you're talking about now, that blend of experience. You don't really see the defined, the differences between those type of individuals and the importance of how it blends together. So it's quite interesting that you make that point, and I think it's easy to look past that and just think technical skills. Do you know what I mean? We need someone with XYZ, not necessarily the softer, the side, the business acumen, that sort of thing. And I think before the call, we were speaking about efficiency within a data science team, and how the role of a data scientist can be a bit blurred lines, because it can be seen like it's going to be one thing, and actually you spend the majority of your time doing a complete other. I mean, what do you think the typical sort of data scientist role looks like at the moment?
I think that's something very interesting. So the role of data scientists, and something we can discuss about this again, this 97%, the 87% of peripheral, the role, that's why the great frustration on data scientists, the main task that the data scientist is doing is, again, when they get access to the data, and they just get the data, and the first thing they have to do is to clean it, because we know that the data is not well established, and there is a lot of data quality gaps in our data. So they have to clean it. They have to first look to gather it and clean it, and after that push that in their model and to analyze it. And there is a great survey has been done to understand where data scientists spend most of the time. I think it was near 50% of the time they spend in data cleaning,
Wow.
because they need to have a better data set to perform the analysis. And when you ask a data scientist what is the worst things you are doing, and it's again data cleaning. So
it doesn't sound
that's
particularly fun.
yeah, and that's one of the big problem, and one of the 87% of the failure of the project is that we didn't really focus our time on term of, okay, we have these great people who want to do mostly not data scientists is not just about predictive analytics, but when you're doing predictive analytics, you have great people who has great skills and try to leverage some things that we never seen in the past in the company, and try to create more values. But instead of that, we are using them to doing very boring task, and we lost them in terms of the engagement. And this is something so the tips for that, how I achieved that is that I used to make the data scientist team in the same area as data engineering scheme, because data engineering are more likely to do also when you see a data scientist cleaning the data, it's ugly. Please don't use them for doing that. So data engineers are better on that, are much more qualified for doing this kind of job, and that's why putting them together, it makes the dynamic on the team better. So all the engineering task is doing by data engineer, and after that the data scientist is collaborating with them, and they get the clean data, and they can do really what they enjoy the most. and yeah, so this is my way to make this more efficient and make a data scientist using data scientist time in more efficient way. So that was my tips on this kind of issue I noticed in my past.
Yeah, and I think you touched upon it there as well. I think it again comes down to communication, right? It comes down to collaboration with the different teams, because if you can leverage the experience and the skill set and the resource of data engineering team to take some of the load on these areas, it will free up the data scientists to do, you know, what they do best and what they enjoy. And I suppose that all links into efficiency, and the only way to do that is not to have them as two completely separate teams that don't communicate and don't get stuck into the same sort of things together. So no, I think that's a really good point.
Sorry, just for adding in that things. Yeah, you said exactly something very interesting, and then there's some people who also challenged me on that, because they said, oh, in my company, data engineer team is in the IT side and data scientist is in business side, and they didn't communicate together. And that's a very good question. And asked me Abed, in this situation, what you will do. I used to say to them, look, you should, as a data leader, you should open the door. There is nothing about just remove this old-fashioned way. Oh, they are not in my team. They are not aligned to there. I'm not the manager, so I don't work with them. That's not how we should do in the business. So I used to engage to ask them, like, if they have a data scientist outside the IT or outside your area, fine, create this data quality data capacity team, and make them working together. There is nothing wrong to work together, and there is nothing wrong to share the best practice and to work together. That speed up the way to create a better project and to create more engagement. So that was one of a question I've got in the past.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for leaders, data leaders, this has got to be one of the biggest priorities of how do we combine, collaborate these separate skilled individuals for the best for everyone, but for the business as well. So to condense that time and resource, and I think there are numerous examples of this in the conversations I have with managers where that's just not the case. It's just not. They're so separate. They're dealt with like a completely separate entity, doing completely different things. And I think longer term that can be quite damaging. And I think it wraps around that sort of data-driven culture, all that type of thing as well, where you need to all be on the same page, everyone talking the same language. And I imagine that's one of your main priorities within your role, probably going into E.ON Next and your places before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. So I think just to wrap that up, maybe, what would be, if you're a data leader that's looking to build a data science team, right? You want to show value to the business. You want to create an efficient model that is going to allow the business to see that return on investment, see that benefit, to then allow you to build from that point. What would your sort of one piece, if you could give it, of advice to someone going into a role or a conversation like that? What's key to focus on, and where do you sort of start?
So for a leader, for a data leader, I will encourage them to ask this question. I used to ask to any CEO, if you have the chance to talk with the CEO, is to ask him, okay, what questions didn't make him sleep? That's my big question every time.
What's that? What questions
didn't make him sleep?
Brilliant, yeah.
Because that gives a very good idea on where to focus our eyes. And this is right into the first thing I said, is about start with the problem, not with the data. Start with the big questions. Start with something that you think that there is no answer, or think that is creating him a headache, and how to resolve that. I didn't say that data will probably resolve that, but that could give directions on where to start, because it's very look, smart data scientists will have a lot of ideas. Okay, fine. Are they applicable? Are they? Is it possible to put it live? Is there any constraint in the company that thinks? Is there a regulation issue on this idea? That there is a lot of consideration to take on board. So it's don't start with a subject that at the end of the day you will say, oh no, it's not practical. We can't do that. It's just impossible. Try to find a problem that is something very important for the company, that you know that we create a good impact, and that's very good to start with a very strong subject that is achievable, quick, and that's create value. Pick one subject, not two, three, or four, because you will be lost. Pick one subject to create this impact, and after that, when you create this impact on this subject, if you're very successfully, I can assure you that the others will just open the door, because you will build the trust. People will understand that you can create great value for the company, and after that, you start having more budget to build that. So that's my advice for any leader. For data scientists, honestly, it's to be it's to be very engaged on the subject. So in any project there will be some brokers. In any subject there will be some constraints. So you need to embrace the subject and make that happen. And I used to say to my team, there is no wall that you can kick off. So if you see a wall coming in front of you, just break it. Just go and break it. There is a lot of way to break a wall. Take the right tool and do it, and go forward. Yeah, that's my tool.
Yeah, I love that, to be fair. I love that. And I think it's about finding something that's very important to the business, aligns with strategy. And this is why you need to talk the language of the business. You need to talk, what is their need? What's really going to make an impact? And then that snowball effect, suddenly the budget starts being released. More people, more departments want to get involved. And that helps with the whole data culture as well. And like you say, from the data scientist side, it's make sure you know the business stuff, make sure you're learning that, not just the technical stuff, and try and spot those opportunities. Yes, it might not be the most exciting, most challenging one you want to get stuck into straight away, but find the one that's achievable and go for that. So really good advice there, Abed. I really appreciate your time today. Like I think we said before, you could dig into this 10 times over, so we could carry on, but no, I think it's been really good to hear from you. And and thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, James, to invite me. It was a great pleasure to share.
Brilliant. Thanks, Abed.